This is a graph with data from 2001 on religious groups in the United States and their educational attainment. It shows the percentage of a religious group that has completed higher education. It doesn't show the Jehovah's Witnesses, but we can get some interesting data. The national average is 33%, so it's not surprising that non-denominational and Catholic people share that average since they represent a good chunk of the population. Unitarians are super well educated for some reason, along with Hindu and Jewish people. And on the other side, Mormons just fall short of the national average, followed by the Seventh-day Adventists, another similar high control group. Then the numbers shrink as you go into Baptists and Pentecostals, with the Church of God, another Christian denomination, ranking the lowest. If Jehovah's Witnesses were in this chart, where do you think they would be? Above average? Close to the Mormons? Maybe closer to the Pentecostals if you feel pessimistic? Well, I lied. The chart does include the Jehovah's Witnesses. And they're right here.
Here, Jehovah guarantees that one day, every person on earth will be a true worshiper of Him. Will you be there? Will your son or daughter be among those alive at that time?
Jehovah's Witnesses believe Armageddon is imminent. It's right around the corner. So Jehovah's Witnesses are discouraged from planning for anything more than the immediate future. To a Jehovah's Witness, going to university or any other sort of superior education is a waste of time that could be better spent evangelizing and building kingdom halls. Going to university to learn something can be seen as almost sacrilegious, since it's seen as betting Armageddon will delay long enough for you to get the degree, and then long enough for you to use it. A Jehovah's Witness measures their fate based on how soon they see Armageddon coming. After all, a sinner would want Armageddon to come late so they have a chance to fake their crooked path. You want Armageddon to come when you're preaching or doing spiritual things because your value as a Jehovah's Witness is only as good as your last day. Jehovah's Witnesses think of Armageddon as this wave with almost no memory of the past that goes off whatever you're doing in the moment rather than your life as a whole. You have a better chance of surviving if you're doing something spiritual at the moment. I remember constantly hearing from the platform, where do you want to be when Armageddon arrives? Preaching Jehovah's kingdom or starting a career in this system of things? This is flawed thinking because it's based on the premise that getting a higher education is wrong in itself. And that's nowhere in the Bible. Jehovah's Witnesses love to say how Luke was a doctor, and you can tell because of how many doctor things Luke mentions in his gospel, which is not how that works, but we're trying to stay on topic here. Daniel and the three musketeers literally got higher education when they were taken to Babylon, and that education back then included magic and worship of false gods. But the only thing Daniel and his friends asked, just like the woke students around the world today, was for a vegan diet.
Is there a problem?
Our God doesn't allow us to eat such foods.
Jehovah's Witnesses don't celebrate birthdays because they're mentioned twice in the Bible somewhat in a bad light. By that logic, they should attend higher education because every time it shows up in the Bible, it's shown in a positive light. That's why Jehovah's Witnesses have to say that there isn't enough time to study a career, because they cannot substantiate asking people not to study with the Bible if Armageddon isn't coming soon. But unfortunately, Jehovah's Witnesses have been against higher education since their inception. Pastor Russell was very much against higher education, with slides against it showing up in the photodrama of creation.
Has the governing body changed its position regarding the pursuit of higher secular education? No. We feel that all of the cautions that we have addressed in the past are still valid.
Since then, every generation of Jehovah's Witnesses have been taught that there is simply no time for them to get a career, and they should instead spend their time getting riches in heaven by working for free for the organization. Because the only one who's allowed to plan for the future is the organization. It's not lost on Jehovah's Witnesses that they're basically spending time not on their own personal long-term projects, but on the long-term projects of the religion itself. The religion is planning to spend the better part of the decade building the Ramapo facilities, and they're also filming this mini show about Jesus, which will take multiple years.
The governing body is pleased to announce that a very special video series about Jesus is currently being developed. Work is underway to develop and produce a new live-action dramatic series on Jesus Christ. The title of the series is The Good News According to Jesus. Today, however, we are giving you a preview, a first look at an upcoming convention project that will take years to complete.
And many see this as a contradiction to their stance on higher education, but it isn't. To a Jehovah's Witness, anything that is beneficial to the religion is good and spiritual, so it doesn't matter if Jehovah's Witnesses spend their time building stuff to sell later. After all, the religion got benefited, and that means that that was good. This isn't a contradiction. This is proof of their hypocrisy. The religion rarely follows the rules it imposes on its followers. Whereas the average Jehovah's Witness cannot plan for paradise, cannot build their house for paradise today, and have to wait until paradise to start planning their lives, the religion is definitely allowed to do all of that today.
The governing body wants all of you to know, including those that'll see it later, that we are determined to remain active and to faithfully deliver spiritual food at the right time. We are also looking beyond the last days. The faithful slave now says many of the projects that are being worked on now, like Ramapo and the Good News According to Jesus video series, may or perhaps will carry over into the new world to assist the great crowd with the work ahead, and perhaps including resurrected ones.
In their minds, they're building for paradise, which no one else in the world is allowed to do. We're shown pictures of paradise where all the buildings and landmarks of cities are gone, yet they arrogantly believe their buildings will be the only ones that will be spared because they are the house of God, they decided.
As stated in the 2020 annual meeting, it is likely this series will be used to touch the hearts and minds of billions of resurrected ones in the coming new world.
He said that he thinks this stupid little show they're doing about what they wish Jesus had said is so revolutionary, so essential, that Jehovah may want to use it to indoctrinate people in the paradise. You know, instead of his inspired word, the Bible. This shows the arrogance of the governing body, where they believe they're so far over the rules they themselves placed that the rules are rarely followed by them. They discourage people from getting higher education, but they will put people through higher education if they need more lawyers for their increasing lawsuits.
The governing body asked Brother Steele who could go through law school to become an attorney. The organization needed a few attorneys to help defend the rights of Jehovah's Witnesses. So Brother Steele asked me, or basically gave me the assignment. We want you to become a lawyer.
So the organization made a decision to send you through law school.
And according to the doctrine, this all makes sense because the priority is and will always be maintaining the well-being of the religion. After all, the governing body only wants what's best for everybody and has no monetary motive, so it's not like they can be corrupted by money, right? But you can. In fact, the governing body wants you to know, if you attend higher education, it's only because you're a greedy little jerk who's only after material things.
What challenges could prevent you from starting or continuing on the path of full-time service? Pressure from others. My relatives want me to focus on making money.
Jehovah's Witnesses always equate the pursuit of higher education to the pursuit of riches. For them, there is no other reason to study other than you wanting to be rich. This is clearly a strawman argument. While studying a career can lead to better job prospects, a lot of people study a career because they want to learn more about stuff they find interesting, or because they want to improve the world somehow. There are many biologists, astrophysicists, chemists, and other scientists who went to school because they wanted to learn more about the world and how it operates. They see the world around them and they get joy from understanding it. Those careers are rarely oriented towards making money, especially when they work for a state-funded project that's meant to improve people's lives instead of making a profit. Other people study sociology, law, and political sciences because they want to improve the human-made systems we have in place to benefit the poor, the weak, and the hungry, which is exactly what Jesus advocated for. Jesus was famously against people being rich, and he was very much for supporting the poor. So a Christian could say that they're following Jesus by taxing the rich to support welfare systems, or even by taxing churches to make sure they don't become profit incentivized, which is a less violent and radical version of what Jesus himself did. To a Jehovah's Witness, none of these reasons exist. They already decided that higher education is bad, and like everything else they decided is bad, any argument to prove their point is a good argument. That's why they need to pretend like the only reason anyone would ever have to keep studying is to make more money, so they can use all the scriptures that are against making money to convince you to stop studying. And what would you do instead? Well, build kingdom halls so their religion makes money. Why? Because the actual reasons are much more sinister.
If we are in continued association with those who do not believe the same, it can erode our thinking and convictions.
Studying higher education is a little bit different than studying before. When you get to go to college, you often share classes with people who are studying other careers, so you're meeting new people all the time. You're not a child anymore. Whereas before you could get away with not going to a schoolmate's home to study or to work on a project, you're now an adult, and it starts to look weird if you don't want to meet later for the school project. What's more, you're just starting to mature, so you're looking for other people to connect with more than ever. And in college, you can find people to connect with about stuff that will get you shone in the religion. If you're in the LGBTQ spectrum, you may find like-minded individuals who haven't been repressed all their lives, or who had been repressed only to love life now that they're far away from home and can be their authentic selves. Traveling to study in another location would be almost certain spiritual suicide for a Jehovah's Witness who's in the closet or who doesn't really believe in the religion that much.
Parents, we would be remiss if we did not encourage our child to pursue a skill or trade that would enable him to start off a marriage successfully. Having said that, it does not change the fact that all too often our young people have met with spiritual disaster, especially after leaving home and living on a university campus.
But you don't need to travel to be exposed to a myriad of people who are like you in college. That's what their religion is so afraid of when it warns about the dangers of the people you can meet in school. They know people usually go to college in their most critical formative years. Having friends outside their religion is technically wrong but not enforced, and a friend who isn't in the cult may end up realizing that their Jehovah's Witness friend isn't a cult and may feel inclined to help him out.
So, Sophia, what do you think Jehovah is teaching you about friendship?
That I have to choose my friends carefully.
And how can you know if someone should be your friend?
If they help me be Jehovah's friend.
What's more, most Jehovah's Witnesses aren't super forward about their religious views, especially in college, where that would look out of place. This leads many Jehovah's Witnesses to be slightly toned down versions of their religion selves so they can overlook their friends when they sin, like when they're smoking or dating, and can continue being friends with them. These believing Jehovah's Witnesses will always think, oh, but my friend isn't like the other worldly people. They aren't violent or rude or lusting after riches, and they'll end up justifying having a friendship with someone who's outside their religion. And if this happens, it's only a matter of time until the witness realizes that seemingly none of the worldly people they meet seem to be like the worldly people they heard about at the meetings. And since Jehovah's Witnesses are a fundamentalist religion, it only takes one crack for a Jehovah's Witness to realize that if they're wrong in one thing, they may be wrong in other things, and before you know it, they're making apostate YouTube videos. The religion doesn't want its followers to have friends outside of it because if they do, they may realize that they've been in a cult, and now aren't as affected by shunning the strongest doctrine enforcer, because they finally have friends who won't shun them for being who they are. And that's a risk the religion isn't willing to take.
I have long said, the better the university, the greater the danger. The most intelligent and eloquent professors will be trying to reshape the thinking of your child, and their influence can be tremendous.
The Jehovah's Witnesses tell you that studying higher education is extremely dangerous because it changes the way you think. And this one is plain right. Jehovah's Witnesses are constantly told that they are the ones who know the Bible the best out of all of the world. They alone have deciphered everything, and there's so many books about the intricacies of the Bible that the Watchtower has been able to study. Their religion wants its followers to believe they're Bible intellectuals. No, more than Bible intellectuals, because those ones can discern the true meaning of the Bible or whatever. And when you go to college, you risk realizing how wrong that is. Studying a career will almost inevitably result in you having to make an argument in some way or another. You'll have to say what you believe is right and support that with evidence. And if you try to write that essay or give that presentation in the style of Watchtower, you'll quickly realize that that doesn't work. First of all, you realize that a quote without citation is considered pretty much baseless, but that's not the main danger. A lot of the Jehovah's Witness doctrine needs circular reasoning, strawmanning, and using many other circular fallacies that will get your paper a bad grade if you use them. The most valuable thing learning can give you is the ability to think critically and to identify logical fallacies when they're presented to you. And once you learn how to see them, you can't unsee them. They will always stick out like a sore thumb. The whole pseudo-intellectual corporate image that the religion has carefully crafted is inevitably exposed for the baseless lies and conjectures they are. And that is the one thing the religion can't allow followers to do. And I'm not saying that the governing body knows that the gig is up when someone goes to college or whatever. None of them have gone to college, so we have no reason to believe they know why so many Jehovah's Witnesses seem to leave when they go to it. But they have to notice that they leave regardless.
A circuit overseer sent me a letter in which he described what he called a picture-perfect witness family until the oldest son received a full scholarship to attend a university. The university was an hour and 45-minute drive from home. The family wrestled with the decision to send him off for his extra schooling. Finally, the opportunity to get this education basically free of charge won out. The scholarship included housing in a co-ed dorm at the university. Within just a few weeks, the son called his parents to say that he could not remain faithful to Jehovah in this environment. He begged his parents to let him come back home. The parents told him, no, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Figure it out. The short story is the son left the truth. The parents divorced. His siblings are not doing anything for Jehovah. So sad.
They see that when Jehovah's Witnesses go to college, many of them seem to leave Jehovah and side with Satan. So they demonize going to college, saying that the end is near anyway, and you'll be exposed to icky people, and don't be materialistic wanting to go to college. And when all of those excuses fail, they come out and say it. They tell their followers, look, we don't know how this happens, but people who go to college change their thinking and leave Jehovah. Don't do it, it'll happen to you too.
One brother likened his experience in a university setting to being in a house that is on fire. Spiritually speaking, he said, even if you escape alive, your clothes still smell like smoke. It has an effect on you.
It was a number of years ago now. You're all better? Received no residual effects then from the training?
They're saying the truth, even if they don't realize it. Because if you learn how to think critically, you will definitely change the way you think. And that will almost certainly change your mind about being a Jehovah's Witness. Thank you so much to my patrons who chose the topic for this video. This took longer than I expected to make, but a new post is already up for you to tell me what I should talk about